Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 41 through 42 of RuYi's Royal Love. First and third prince have been kneeling in the rain for hours, begging for forgiveness, but it looks like the emperor isn't taking back his decree. After their behavior at the funeral, he is sticking to his decision to remove them from the crown prince running. He even decrees that all of their tutors will lose 3 years of pay and their friends will get 50 lashes each, which, what? What in the world kind of rule is that? Not to mention, of course, all of their servants are punished as well. Chun realizes that all of her new friends are suddenly nowhere to be found. As a grown woman, I don't know how she's just now learning this. This is the kind of lesson that you learn as a child when the person you think is your best friend suddenly stops hanging out with you when your Wii breaks, and you call them but they don't answer and you start wondering what you did wrong and then... Sorry, where was I? With first and third prince out of the running, Jasun, the fourth prince, suddenly becomes the oldest of the possible crown princes, even though he's only 9. Not to mention, she's pregnant with her third kid. Things just couldn't be better for her. I understand the gravity of the situation and why the emperor is so angry with his sons, but can I just say RuYi and the emperor are so funny together.
不吃了。
吃吗？
He's like a toddler. RuYi sees Hailan and tells her how disappointed she is that she had a hand in this. It's clear that Hailan respects RuYi's opinion, but she simply cannot abide her "everything will work out if we stick to our morals" attitude.
你太重感情。
后宫之中情分本就难得，如果连这点情分你也撒手不要了，咱们还能有什么？
Unable to come to an agreement after their first real fight, Hailan leaves. In private, RuYi admits how much it broke her heart that the sweet boy who called her mother has turned into this. I'm still so heartbroken over our baby Yonghuang. Yanwan, who I would really rather forget but is kind of important, has spent all this time kissing Chun's feet. Now that Chun is gone, she's left with Jia and RuYi. Problem is, RuYi will never like her because of what she did to Yuncha, and she has that whole past with Jia. Rock, hard place. She makes her choice and tries her best to endear herself to Jia, but come on, it's Jia. Jia gets her to kneel down and clean her shoes, and then she leans in and says, "You're trash and you'll always be trash. Bye!" Yuncha sees what happened, and I wonder if he still feels anything for her or if he's just being kind. He's a much better person than I am. I would never stop rubbing her face in this. I would be there for her every failure. Oh, hey, I just got a promotion. Oh, what's that? You're still a noble lady? Just got back from lunch with my BFF RuYi. Oh, you're wiping shit off shoes? Oh. I'm off to the market. Want to tag along? Oh, what's that? You can't? Because you have to stay here till you die? Oh, so sorry. But you know what? Kudos to Yanwan for sticking by her decision. She doesn't try to act pitiful in front of Yuncha. She knows that this is the road she chose and she's sticking to it. Back to our servant love triangle for the first time in a while. Liu spots Suoxin and Dr. Zhang together, looking very close. He tries to give her a hair ornament he bought for her, but while Suoxin was happy to accept a handmade little flower, she doesn't want him buying her expensive gifts, which, fair enough. She also not so casually mentions how much she wants children.
谁不羡慕儿女福分呢？
For Suoxin, who is usually so observant when it comes to other people's feelings, this had to have been on purpose to let him down gently. I love how much care they put into developing even the smallest of characters. I totally understand and feel for both of them, and they manage to convey so much emotion and story development, even with their limited screen time. Suspicious about the funeral incident, the Empress Dowager investigates and finds out about Hailan's connection to it. But she places the blame on RuYi, eroding a lot of that goodwill RuYi has been working so hard to build between them. RuYi tries to explain that she really has no interest in being the Empress, but the Empress Dowager refuses to believe that Hailan would have done this without RuYi telling her to. Just like Hui and the Empress, everyone sees Hailan as RuYi's lackey. Her actions are always going to be assumed to be under RuYi's direction.
我去找太后说明白，这件事情是我做的。
我早就跟你说过，你做跟我做有什么分别呢？
Though the emperor still can't decide on an empress, he does decide to promote RuYi to imperial noble consort, second only to the non-existent empress. And he promotes Jia to noble consort, putting her at the same level as Chun. So even without the official title, with no empress, that makes RuYi the ruler of the harem. It's such a testament to how much he values her. Both Chun and Jia have multiple sons, but they still can't compete with her. There were also a few other promotions. One finally gets promoted to noble lady, and I am so happy for her. Also, Qing becomes a noble lady as well, so I guess I'll put her on the list. She's barely a character though. Jia gets more good news on top of her promotion. Her old love, just a prince when they separated, is now king of her clan after the death of the previous king.
听说新王承袭王爵，要进京拜见皇上。
So she can finally see him again. Imagine having 3 whole kids with someone and still being this in love with a guy because he gave you a bracelet. There is a bit of a hurdle though, as the new king is already in trouble with the emperor. His wife committed suicide over some kind of disagreement, and we don't know all the details, but I guess the point is he must have done something really bad if she killed herself over it. The emperor has him arrested, but orders it kept secret from Jia, who is close to delivering, which makes me wonder how much he knows about their relationship. Yanwan gets the news about the new king from her creepy eunuch and decides to make sure Jia finds out at the most opportune moment. Since she is now sure that Jia will never see her as an ally, the next move, naturally, is to take her down. Yanwan also sends her maid to deliver a message to Yuncha. The maid tells Yuncha that Yanwan is thinking of committing suicide and begs him to come and see her. Yuncha is far too nice for going to talk her out of it. I think I am letting my knowledge of future episodes color the way I see Yanwan, but I literally could not care less if she commits suicide. Yuncha arrives to find a sex dungeon. Turns out that Yanwan is tired of waiting for the emperor to come and see her and wants to take her chances with Yuncha. Whatever it takes to have that baby. The room is filled with an aphrodisiac incense, she's got the time period's version of lingerie on, and she's being all seductive.
就算皇上在我身边，但我还是想着你。
Yuncha does his best to fight it, and those must be some strong drugs that only affect men? Why can he barely walk, but she's got enough energy for all this foreplay? Anyway, Yanwan is so annoying.
我不想再受人欺凌了，我想有个孩子。
What the hell does that have to do with me? Yuncha manages to get to the door, and it looks like her servants are going to try and kill him, but she tells them to let him go. He runs out and finds a bucket of water to regain his senses. Yanwan is the worst. All she ever does is exploit Yuncha from his money, his time, his feelings, and now rape. I guess if she really decided she had to do this, he would be her only option. But hey, here's a tip. Just don't do this. Yanwan doesn't realize that the reason she's been unable to get pregnant is Shu's contraceptive juice, and I guess she just thinks that the odds will be better if she sleeps with another guy. Isn't it going to be odd though if you have a son and he looks like a carbon copy of the guard who also happens to be from the same little town you're from? After talking to his friend, she clearly still thinks Yuncha is in love with her or she wouldn't have let him go, and she has no problem taking advantage of that yet again. The worst part is, there's nothing Yuncha can do about it. Were he to go to the emperor, even though he's completely not at fault, I still think things would end with him being beheaded. And now for a look at the book. There aren't any huge changes with the Hailan and RuYi plot, though the Empress Dowager does punish Hailan directly, making her kneel for a long while until RuYi comes to see her and take responsibility for Hailan's action. Then the conversation is pretty much the same, but a little bit more understanding. Book RuYi acknowledges that what Hailan did is what she really wanted to do in her heart, so while she didn't ask Hailan to do it, she does feel like she is responsible and she doesn't really blame Hailan. The Yuncha Yanwan scene is 100% just as gross in the book, grosser even because there are so many details, but there's one particular part worth talking about. Yanwan asks Yuncha why he is rejecting her. She asks outright if there's someone else in his heart. Something suddenly pierced Yuncha's thoughts. He couldn't put it into words, but in that moment, a similar and yet somehow completely different face appeared in front of him. RuYi. It was RuYi. Perhaps it was the cold in the room, perhaps the atmosphere was too strange, perhaps it was the dizziness in his head, but the face he saw, somehow, was RuYi. He felt as if he had suddenly been splashed with cold water that chilled him to his bones. He suddenly recovered his senses and pushed Yanwan away. Just 2 chapters before this, RuYi was in bed with the emperor. In the middle of the night, she got cold and chose to wrap herself up tighter in her blanket rather than snuggle up closer to the emperor. She begins to think about what it means that when she feels unsafe, she's not comfortable finding comfort in the man she just slept with. She wonders if there's anyone she thinks she could truly and wholeheartedly trust, and the only name she can think of is Yuncha. That little guard with eyes that shined like bright stars in the blackening sky. Though she knew he had his own ambitions, his eyes were unlike those of the men she'd known before, eyes clouded with thoughts of power. A secret, unspeakable thought made her blood run cold, even wrapped up in the warm blanket. I have said so many times that I love these two as a romantic pairing, but part of that was just because I knew it would never happen. In the novel, though, these are not small hints. They are clearly in love with each other. I haven't finished the book because I'm reading along as I make these videos, and I am just, are they going to have an affair? Is this going to be an actual romance? Now that it seems like it could actually happen, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm gonna go ahead and read the next few chapters. Till next time, thanks for watching.